It was basically Shiratori was asking about why artists use boxes or why it's like why boxes are mentioned quite often. And to get to the gist of the reasoning is I think people are often misunderstand the purpose that the box that the purpose is to like use the box in some sort of way to make to define what how to like place things in that 3D space. And as I've said, that can be done. Uh, you can do your cross sections, and then you can do the split your box into pieces, and then find the midsection, and then draw the midsection out. You can do this sort of thing, and then you can draw a line down the center, and then create another cross section. You could. This is completely feasible, but really overkill. I think people are often confusing themselves. Um, the idea of the box that give you insight and rules on how to build the character 3D space, which, to be fair, is a portion of the idea. But I think that comes in as a bonus on the second on a latter point. I think I think the purpose of the box, from the standpoint of from a general conceptual standpoint, is that if you confine the space you're drawing in, especially if you give it a 3D volume, it prevents your brain from just doing lazy kind of drawings that most people tend to revert to when they're not being actively engaged with their art. So the point I was making before is, a lot of people when they draw a face, they'll just draw the face basically using the same rules they always do. They'll usually facing forward or profile or three-quarter, and they're not actively engaging with it within the confines of 3D space, and they're using old like methods and tropes to construct that head. But if you create like a 3D space, and then the two examples I gave is if you draw a head here, or if you draw I drew here. So if you draw the head, draw a head, you draw a box, and then you draw a face aiming towards you, then immediately you can sort of visualize it's a person looking up. So you've already contextualized. Oftentimes when we draw, the kind of the most like passive way we draw that's like the least beneficial to us is to see things as little pieces instead of a whole. But if you draw a little head inside of a box and the box is already facing a direction, your mind is already kind of filling in more of that shape without you even having to really engage too thoroughly, but enough for you to start visualizing. And I think the real purpose of the box, from from the grand scheme of things kind of concept, is to push you into that direction where drawings exist as complete concepts with a position direction and a fullness or a wholeness to them. Whereas, if you allow yourself to, this is all whack. I can see how whack it is. That's why you make sure your boxes are done correctly. It shouldn't bother me, but it's been bothering me. Anyway, the point I'm making is that the box is less about trying to do this, and it's more about just creating enough of a loose kind of volume for you to engage in a way that's maybe more conceptual and visual in your mind's eye than it would be to just do what your normal standards are. But you could, like I said, you'll see me do just line like this. You'll still see me use the box is still functional. Like here, I've already, if I need to draw the nose down, I can still use these planes to kind of better identify where eyes and nose and mouth can go without, you know, one feature going this way, one feature going that way, one feature going that way. So it can be used, still used for that purpose of kind of rectifying, but it doesn't have to be, you know, you're strictly using it to build 3D shapes. It can just be used as a loose grid to visualize with it. You can still stylize within this shape, just use it to loosely align features. Um, you know, so it's important to not see this just as like how to, how to make a 3D modeler on paper, because I don't believe that's something we need to solve anymore. I think if you need a really good 3D version of something, just use a 3D modeler, model it and draw on top of it. There's no point of doing all the elaborate, I think Scott Robertson, I forget who it is, all the elaborate like 3D modeling of shapes and stuff from a draftsman standpoint at this juncture in time. Or you can kind of see me adjust things because I have enough of a guide here that really kind of helps me. The guides kind of really help me kind of better visualize. It's kind of doing the thing I'm saying. It's helping me orientate this just enough to like know when things feel off. Anyway, that was covered yesterday, but the problem was is I forgot to record it. I can't believe I'm still bad at faces after all these years. This goes here, so I'm gonna just do this whole tech. Yeesh. Frustrating. It's frustrating to have such a huge gaping hole in my knowledge even after all these years. Just think I'm just very poor at drawing faces. Such a hard shape to nail. Anyway, I think my box is just fucked. This is why, like I said, drawing boxes, getting your boxes nailed will help everything else, because then everything else will fit better within those rules. See here how all these features don't line up. They should line up at least a little bit. Right? You know, this line shouldn't be going this way. My line's going this way. It should be going this way. Line should be going this way. So, you know, there's really the two functional ways to use the box. Is one is to like line up your features, and the other one is to better visualize within that 3D space. So that's that for that. And if no one else has any other questions, I'm going to wrap up. So ask them now or forever hold your peace. You can even review one of your drawings. I can help you with something you're drawing right now.